Have you ever felt it? That quiet, gnawing pressure in the dead of night or in the middle of a perfectly fine afternoon. A feeling that you're missing something. A feeling that everyone else received a secret instruction manual at birth, a map with a large red X marking the spot of their purpose, and you, for some reason, were left out. You see people charging forward, building careers, raising families, pursuing grand ambitions, and they seem so sure, so certain. They seem to be on their path. And you feel like you're standing in a vast open field with 1,000 paths stretching out in every direction, and a voice in your head, a voice that sounds suspiciously like society itself, is screaming, "Choose one, quick, you're falling behind." This feeling is a peculiar kind of torment, isn't it? It's the anxiety of the unfulfilled quest. It turns your life not into a thing to be lived, but into a problem to be solved, a puzzle to be cracked. You read books, you listen to podcasts, you take personality tests that promise to reveal your true calling in just 57 easy questions. You try on different hats, different identities, hoping one will finally click, one will finally feel like it. You tell yourself, if only I could find my one great thing, my purpose, then everything else would fall into place. Then I would have direction. Then I would have meaning. Then I would be whole. But what if I were to tell you that this frantic search, this desperate feeling of being purposeless, is not a sign that you are lost? What if it is a sign that you are, in fact, beginning to wake up? What if this deep, abiding frustration is not a symptom of your personal failure, but a perfectly sane reaction to a profoundly insane game that you're being forced to play? What if the problem isn't that you haven't found your purpose, but that you're one of the few who has begun to see that the entire concept of finding a purpose is a beautifully decorated trap? You see, we live inside a grand story, a piece of theater that we've all tacitly agreed to participate in from a very young age. The central plot of this play is the myth of the individual as a tool, as an instrument designed for a specific function. From the moment you enter school, you are asked, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" The question itself is loaded. It implies that your being is conditional upon your doing. It suggests that your value is not inherent, but is something you must achieve, a title you must earn, a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, an artist. You are taught to think of your life as a linear progression, a ladder to be climbed. You get good grades to get into a good college, to get a good job, to build a good career, to have a good retirement. It's a journey from point A to point B, and purpose is the name we give to the destination. The entire economic and social system is built on this premise. It needs predictable cogs to keep the machine running. It needs people who define themselves by their function, by their productivity, by their contribution to the gross domestic product. It sells you an identity, packaged and shrink-wrapped, and tells you this is who you are. And it works for a great many people. They find a role that fits well enough, they learn their lines, and they play their part until the curtain falls. They are not unhappy, not necessarily. They are simply asleep. Asleep to the reality that the role is not them, that the play is not life, and that the script they are following was written by someone else. Your pain, your anxiety, your feeling of purposelessness comes from a simple, profound truth. You are starting to forget your lines. You're standing on the stage, the other actors are delivering their dialogue with great conviction, the audience is watching expectantly, and you've suddenly realized that you're just a person in a costume standing on a wooden stage. You see the flimsy backdrop, the stage lights, the director in the wings. And the lines you're supposed to say suddenly feel hollow, absurd. Your exhaustion doesn't come from a lack of purpose. It comes from the immense, soul-crushing effort of trying to pretend that the play is real when every fiber of your being is screaming that it is not. You are not failing the game. You are simply the one who has woken up to the fact that it is a game, and your spirit is refusing to play along. This is the great turning point, the moment of revelation, that feels, at first, like a breakdown. Let us look at this feeling, this supposed failure, and see it for what it truly is. Let's reframe this curse into the blessing it was all along. You say you feel lost, directionless, unable to commit to a single path. The world tells you this is a flaw. It calls it indecisiveness, a lack of ambition. But look closer. What is really happening? You are refusing to mistake a single path for the entire landscape. You see the infinite possibilities, the interconnectedness of all things, and you instinctively resist the idea of amputating 99% of your potential just to make the remaining 1% more definable, more marketable. A tree does not choose to grow only one branch. A river does not decide to flow in only a single straight line. It meanders, it curves, it explores the terrain it finds itself in. Your indecisiveness is not a weakness. It is the wisdom of the river. It is your soul's refusal to be confined to a narrow, man-made canal when it knows its nature is to flow freely across the whole wide earth. You haven't failed to choose a purpose. You have transcended the need for such a simplistic limitation. You say you feel lonely, even when surrounded by people. You sit at dinner parties, you attend meetings, you listen to conversations about promotions, mortgages, and 5-year plans, and you feel a sense of profound alienation. It's as if everyone is speaking a language you no longer understand. This is not because you are broken, it is because your hearing has become more acute. You are no longer just hearing the words, you are hearing the music behind them, and you can hear that the music is out of tune. You can sense the fear, the insecurity, the desperate need for validation that underpins so much of what we call normal conversation. Your loneliness is not a sign of your inability to connect. It is a sign that you are no longer willing to connect on a superficial level. It is the dignified solitude of a consciousness that craves authenticity in a world that rewards performance. You are hungry for a real conversation, and you are realizing, with a quiet sadness, that you cannot have it with people who are still lost in their roles. You say you lack motivation, that you can't bring yourself to hustle and grind for the goals that society deems important. You see your peers working 70-hour weeks, sacrificing their health and their relationships for a future reward, and you just can't find the energy to do the same. They call you lazy. They say you lack drive. But what if this isn't laziness? What if it's clarity? What if you have seen, on a deep and intuitive level, the fundamental absurdity of the rat race? To sacrifice the present moment, the only thing that is ever real, for a hypothetical future that may never arrive? Is this not a form of madness? Imagine a musician who only played music in order to get to the final note. How absurd! The entire point of a symphony is the playing of it, the experience of the sound as it unfolds moment by moment. The finale is not the purpose of the music, it is simply where it concludes. Life is not a journey to a destination, it is a piece of music, a dance. The point of dancing is not to arrive at a particular spot on the floor. The point is the dance itself. Your lack of motivation for the conventional grind is not a character flaw. It is your soul's recognition that life is musical, not logistical. You are refusing to sprint through the symphony just to get to the end. You are instinctively trying to hear the music of the now. So what is the answer? If the search for purpose is the trap, how do we live? The instruction is the one hidden in plain sight, the one so simple it is radical. Stop searching and start noticing. The great secret is that purpose is not something you find. It is not a destination. It is not a noun. It is a verb. It is the quality of attention you bring to the present moment. Your purpose is not out there waiting to be discovered. It is right here in the texture of this very second. Instead of asking, "What is my purpose in life?" ask a different set of questions. Ask, "What am I doing right now? What is the universe doing in the particular form that is you? Are you breathing? Then for this moment, the purpose of the cosmos is to breathe through your lungs. Are you listening to these words? Then the purpose of this moment is the magnificent dance of vibration and consciousness that allows for listening. Are you feeling the warmth of a cup of tea in your hands? Then that is it. That is the whole point. The universe is experiencing itself as the warmth of tea through the nerve endings in your fingers. Let go of the need for your life to be a grand, heroic narrative. That is an idea sold to you by storytellers. The universe does not deal in narratives. It deals in patterns. The intricate, shimmering pattern on a dragonfly's wing is not less purposeful than the explosion of a star. It is simply a different expression of the same cosmic playfulness. Your purpose is not to save the world. Your purpose is to be fully present in the small patch of the world that is you, right now. Do this instead. Follow your curiosity. Not your ambition, which is a product of the ego and social conditioning, but your genuine, unadorned curiosity. What, in this vast and astonishing universe, genuinely fascinates you, for no good reason at all? What makes you lean in and say, that's interesting? It doesn't need a justification. It doesn't need to be profitable. It doesn't need to become a career. It could be the way light filters through the leaves of a tree. It could be the history of ancient maps. It could be learning to bake bread, or understanding how a clock works, or watching the behavior of ants on the sidewalk for 20 minutes. This is the universe whispering to you. It's the trail of breadcrumbs left by your own deeper intelligence. Follow it, not because it leads to a purpose, but for the sheer joy of the following. In doing so, you stop treating life as a problem to be solved, and you begin to engage with it as a mystery to be savored. You are no longer a frantic seeker. You become a curious explorer, and you will find that a life lived in a state of open, gentle curiosity is infinitely more meaningful than a life spent chasing a single, predetermined goal. When you let go of the search, something miraculous happens. You find you have an immense amount of energy that was previously consumed by anxiety and striving. This energy can now be poured into whatever is right in front of you. You begin to do things not for a result, but for the love of the doing. You wash the dishes not to have a clean sink, but for the feeling of warm water on your hands. You talk to a stranger not to network, but for the shared moment of human connection. You do your work not for the promotion, but for the simple satisfaction of a task well done. And then a funny thing happens. In ceasing to search for your purpose, you find that purpose has been flowing through you all along. You realize that your purpose was never a specific job or role. Your purpose was to be the eyes and ears and consciousness of the universe in this specific corner of space and time. Your purpose was to feel the sorrow and the joy, the boredom and the bliss. Your purpose was to be fully, unapologetically alive. And a great peace descends, a quiet, unshakable confidence. It is not the loud confidence of the ego, the person who has found their purpose and now shouts it from the rooftops. It is the deep, silent confidence of a mountain. The mountain does not need to justify its existence. It does not strive to be a better mountain. It simply is. And in its being, it provides shade and shelter, and a home for 1,000 different forms of life. You stop fighting the current of the river. You stop trying to steer it, to force it, to dam it up. You realize that you are not the boatman struggling against the water. You are the river. The seeking, the striving, the frustration, that was all just the turmoil created by your own resistance. When you let go, the water runs clear. You don't know where you're going, and for the first time, that is perfectly, wonderfully okay. Because you know that wherever you are is exactly where you're supposed to be. So, the next time that old ghost of anxiety comes to visit, that whisper that says, "You're not doing enough, you haven't found your purpose," don't fight it, don't believe it, but don't push it away. See it for what it is, an echo from the old play, a habit of a mind conditioned by a sick society. Smile at it, gently, thank it for its concern, and then bring your attention back to your breath. Bring it back to the feeling of your feet on the ground. Bring it back to the astonishing, unpurposeful, and utterly miraculous reality of this one single present moment. This is it. The music is playing. The dance is happening. You have been a part of it all along. All you had to do was stop trying to find it and allow yourself to be found by it.